What is going on, everybody? Sam Dog, the infamous 253, coming at you once again with Brendon Nelson as we go to our preview and keys to winning for Seahawks versus Vikings, Week 5, Sunday Night Football, primetime matchup. Another primetime game for the third year in a row with the Minnesota Vikings. So how you doing, Brendon?
I'm doing good. Thank you for having me on once again.
And once again, another primetime matchup for the third year in a row, which is crazy to think about with the amount of times we've been playing the Vikings lately in primetime. You know, some good matchups in these last couple of years. Last year, we barely pulled away with a 37-30 victory, all because of Malik Turner jarring the ball loose and Travis Homer recovering the fumble on the kickoff after the Jason Myers field goal last year. But now things are a little different now. And the Vikings are coming off of that first win that they got of the season against the Houston Texans. And obviously we're 4-0, and it would be huge to get to 5-0 before our bye week, which is a must need for our team if we want to still keep up in the division race and taking advantage of Green Bay's bye week. So first key is continuing to let Russ cook. And we all know Minnesota's secondary is a little beat up and not as good as we thought they would be this year too. So what's your first thought going into that? Because I think the first mind is hopefully getting DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett to have a big game this week around too, other than what they had last week, although they did produce for us last week, but no touchdowns last week. So
Yeah, to me, this Vikings defense reminds me a lot of the Cowboys defense in that they don't have too much going for them except they have two good pass rushers. The Vikings have Yannick Ngakoue, who they just traded for, and Odenigbo, I believe his name is, one of their young defensive ends who's off to a good start this season, somebody who I actually think we should try to trade for if the Vikings decide to, pack it up and want to get rid of some assets.
Right.
But other than those two pass rushers, I really don't see that much. They do have Eric Kendricks, who, by the way, has not practiced yet this week and sounds like he may not be ready to play on Sunday. And if he does play, he's not 100%. They do have some credible safeties.
Harrison Smith.
Yeah, Harrison Smith and
Mackenzie Alexander.
Yeah, Anthony Harris, I think, is another pretty good safety. But thus far this year, it hasn't really resulted in positive things. They got lit up on defense by the Packers. They gave up 28 points to the mediocre Colts offense. They gave up 23 points to the terrible Houston offense. And they gave up 31 points to the Titans offense. Their defense, in terms of some yardage rankings, it's doing okay. But if you really watch these games and you really take a look at the things they're letting up, their defense is just not playing well. And again, it reminds me of that Cowboys defense. And when we played the Cowboys, we put up 38 points and we didn't even necessarily play a perfect game. I kind of feel the same way about this game going in. Whatever we do on defense, it should work. We should be able to run the ball, should be able to pass the ball, we should be able to go over the top to Lockett and Metcalf for big plays, should be able to hit tight ends. I think everything should work pretty well against this Vikings team. So, yeah, I'm expecting a lot of points and a lot of offensive production.
Yeah, I was a little concerned about the part where you mentioned about being able to run the ball, because I know I heard Minnesota's run defense was actually pretty good. So I remember just hearing that from when I was watching the little preview from NFL Network where they had the analysts predict the wins and just the preview for us going into the game and the Vikings going in. So I was a little concerned about when they mentioned something about their run defense too, is how well will we possibly be able to get Chris Carson going against them, or maybe see DJ Dallas. And will Carlos Hyde be back for this game? Maybe, possibly.
I expect Carlos Hyde to be back for this game. I expect Carlos Hyde to probably get running back 2 touches again. I don't think we're quite ready to go to DJ full-time for that role yet. But to me, I don't think this Vikings run defense is as good as it was last year, when it was honestly really good, and we still ran all over them when we played them. But last year, the Vikings were good against the run in almost every game they played, except for when they played us. So I'm looking at this offensive line interior, which I think has played really well through 4 games. Damian Lewis, Mike Upati, and Ethan Postic, I think they've been holding it down. I think we'll be able to run the ball on them. I certainly think there's more opportunity to attack their corners, because their corners have been a real weakness so far this season. And every team they've played seems to have taken advantage of their mediocre corners. But I think whatever we do, should work against this Vikings defense. So I'm looking forward to just plain producing.
Yeah, and then also there's the concern of, I mean, I know we just added Snacks, which is obviously, is he going to come off of the practice squad? And then,
I don't think he's coming up for this game. My
yeah,
understanding is because of COVID stuff, you have to be on a roster for like 5 days before you can actually play. I don't know if that's true or not, but my understanding is Snacks will probably not be ready for Minnesota.
and then obviously we got to try to get pressure on Kirk Cousins again and force him to throw those interceptions like we were able to do last year. I know Trey had one last year, but Ryan Neal, I'll tell you what, Ryan Neal, if he can come up big again for us for a third week in a row with an interception, that would be huge too. But most of it's going to have to come down to how much pressure we can get on Kirk Cousins and make him throw errant throws. And then, of course, there's Dalvin Cook, the running back, which we all know how good Dalvin Cook has been for that Vikings offense. And I know our run defense has been pretty good so far this season, too. I mean, we're going to have to try to at least get some big hits on Dalvin Cook in the backfield, too, and try to limit the damage that we know he can do on the ground. And even though with their record being 1-3, we all know Dalvin Cook is still doing damage regardless of the record.
Yeah, the Vikings do have a nice offense. If the Vikings win this game, that's probably where they're going to do it. They're going to make enough plays in the offense. They've got a really nice pair of receivers in Adam Thielen and the
Justin Jefferson.
surgent Justin Jefferson, who is off to a great start in his rookie year, playing really well, making a lot of big plays, filling the gap from losing Stephon Diggs. And, that's certainly a recipe for how they could at least put up a lot of points in this game because, watching that Dolphins game, I think Trey Flowers was just told, don't get beat deep. Give up everything underneath. Give up all the short stuff. Let them have completions all game long. Just don't give up any 50-yard plays. And that's basically what Trey Flowers did the whole game. And that's why he gave up like 8 of 9 completions or something like that. And it's very frustrating that we're here right now with Trey Flowers where we have to actually ask him to do something like that. But looking at this game, if Trey Flowers starts, I can kind of see the Vikings just slowly marching down the field by picking on Trey Flowers, which is what any team that plays us right now that has any intelligence at all is going to do.
Yeah, and then also there's Kyle Rudolph, the tight end, which we're all very familiar with. And
Yeah, Kyle Rudolph has actually done very little so far this year. They've been very wide receiver centric in their passing game, and I guess you would say Dalvin Cook as well. Kyle Rudolph has like 70 receiving yards, I think, so far this year, which surprised me because I thought he was really developing into a more elite tight end, but so far this year it hasn't happened. But yeah, Dalvin Cook, you're right, is obviously the focal point of this Vikings offense. Just to put a finer point on it, the Vikings have lost 3 games. They've given up a lot of points in every game, but Dalvin Cook is still averaging like 115 rushing yards a game. So they're still getting him the ball, and he's playing great football. And the thing about this Vikings offense is that they're good. I think they're good. They played pretty well this season, but they're good in a very conventional way. They don't have anything that can really throw our defense for a loop, like a quarterback who can take off and run for big gains. Kirk Cousins isn't really that kind of guy. They just, they have a competent quarterback with 2 good receivers and a good running back. And it feels like something where it's just not something that really intimidates me. Like, there are bad teams the Seahawks will play, and I'll go into the game feeling like I really don't feel good about this game. Like last year when we played the Cardinals at home, I actually went to that game with kind of a bad feeling, and sure enough, we lost.
yeah,
Later this year when we play the Washington football team, I will be a little intimidated by that game as well. I'm going to be looking at that game thinking, I'm a little concerned. This feels like a trap game, but I'm just not feeling it with this Vikings team because they're a little more conventional. They do things a little more normally, and I just don't think that's a recipe to beat this Seahawks team. So even though their offense is good, it just doesn't really intimidate me. And part of the reason why that is Kirk Cousins is turning the ball over a lot. He's got 6 interceptions, even though the Vikings run the ball more than any other team. That's just not good.
Yeah, and then of course it's the matter of also how many if we can force Dalvin Cook to fumble like we did last year too. But it's going to take, like, for me, if we want to win this game through winning the turnover battle, it's going to have to be at least 3 or 4 turnovers to win this game, in my opinion too. I mean, if we can force at least 3 turnovers, don't matter how it is, fumble, interception, house call, or just an interception in general to set us up perfectly. I think that's my number of turnovers that I'll be going into with if we want to win this game, and depending on if we can hold them to like their fourth downs if they decide to go for it on fourth down as well. Because if they get if we put them in a point where they have to get too desperate and go for it on fourth down, that's where we'll win the game, depending on if they
Yeah,
convert or not.
yeah, with what I'm seeing from that Vikings defense, which to me just isn't very good. Like I said, I look at their defense and I see they have two quality pass rushers, kind of like the Cowboys. They also, like I said earlier, they do have Eric Kendricks, who is a great linebacker, although not practicing this week tells me that he may not even play this week. So we'll see what we get there. But I just don't see very much of that defense. So if they start turning the ball over, then yeah, it is probably going to be a forget about it type game. Even if we don't get turnovers, I still like our chances at the end of the day. Like I said, there's just something about this Vikings team that doesn't scream trap game to me. You might remember last week I was talking about the Dolphins trap game, how I was concerned. I'm not feeling it this week. I feel good about this game. I really do. I feel like we're just going to be able to do whatever we want to do on that Vikings defense. I would be very surprised if we aren't able to pile up a lot of points.
Which means we got to get off to another fast start again. The fast starts have always been everything for winning these games. And just if we can get like a big lead again, like if we can get up like 21-0 early or however much we got to get up before their offense can really start flying and that too, and get a good comfortable lead, that would help too. But we cannot be playing too much of the prevent defense too. So there's that. And then obviously shutting down Cook and their running game, and then pressing up on Justin Jefferson, Adam Thielen, and then Kyle Rudolph if needed to, which Bobby Wagner is going to have to be doing a lot on that tight end coverage. I remember looking at your Bobby Wagner watch week video again too, saying that Bobby Wagner's have improved a bit, but there are still some places that he can work on in coverage, right?
Well, actually, he's doing really well in coverage so far this year. I'm really impressed. He's improved a lot from last year. The areas where Bobby, I think, like I kind of went over this in the video, but the areas where Bobby needs to pick up a bit is he's not making big plays. He's not getting sacks. He's not getting tackles for loss. He's not taking the ball away from the other team. But in terms of the fundamentals of the linebacker position, Bobby's playing excellent football. And actually, he is having a year in coverage so far in terms of what he's allowing that is right up there with the best cover linebackers from last season. Like he's on pace to allow like 53% completion, which is insane for a linebacker. He's on pace to only allow like 300 something yards, which is really good. So yeah, Bobby's fine there. I'm not worried about Kyle Rudolph right now. The things that I'm worried about in this game, if there are things to worry about, would be, our run defense has played really well so far this year. We have one of the best run defenses in football through 4 games, but Dalvin Cook is by far the biggest challenge we've had this season. So right. I am definitely keeping an eye on that.
So other than that, though, with the whole Bobby Wagner thing, could this be a good week where we possibly see Bobby come up with a turnover, like an interception or something like that, too?
Yeah, I'm waiting for it to happen pretty much any week. It could be this week. I would love it to be this week. It's just, it has to come at some point, I feel like, because right now we're seeing, like I put it in my video yesterday, the way I put it was Bobby Wagner has a lot of steak, but he's not got the sizzle yet. He's making the solid fundamental plays. He's getting a lot of tackles. He's playing well against the run. He's covering well, but he's not making those head-turning plays that make people think, hey, that guy belongs on first team All-Pro this year, or hey, that guy should be one of the Defensive Player of the Year candidates. So I want to see him make some game-turning plays for sure, but I don't know if it'll come this week, but I can say this. The run defense is going to be tested this week, and Bobby's a big part of that. So right. One way or the other, he will be a focal point for this game.
Bobby, KJ, LJ Collier, Benson Mayoa, Alton Robinson, Jaron Reed, all those guys will definitely be tested on that one too. It's just, but the other part is, like we mentioned, quarterback pressure, getting sacks, forcing turnovers will be the other reason we win this game. Offense, just keep on cooking with Russell. And if we can get a good running attack going and be able to run the ball on these guys too when needed to, it's going to help too. But we got to get DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett getting touchdowns in the end zone again too. David Moore, don't get me wrong. David Moore had a good outing against Miami last week. I liked what he was able to do. He helped us out big time too. But also, when we're running the ball, I agree with what you said. I don't want Travis Homer getting the ball on running plays because he just loses yards every time, which is why I would rather see DJ Dallas in there more. Granted, I was happy that Homer got the touchdown when we needed it the most at the end of the first half on the little dump-off pass when we needed it. But I want to see
Yeah,
more DJ.
yeah. I'm not really worried about that kind of stuff right now for the most part, but yeah, every time like Travis Homer got the ball on offense, I think 3 times against the Dolphins, and every time he got the ball, the possession pretty much immediately died. It's a wasted play, and this offense can't afford to waste plays. It puts us in bad situations. Um, and yeah, I think most people would agree that we need to try to do something a little different there. I think the problem is bigger than just we can't give the ball to Homer. I think the problem is more like we're running the ball on first down too much, and that sets us up for failure. Running the ball on second and long sets you up for failure. It's not just a Travis Homer problem, but he certainly is not helping his case with the way he's playing in the running game. So I agree with that.
Yeah, I would like to see us at least go for the jugular again on first down plays too, like try to get at least a good play to DK Metcalf downfield or Tyler Lockett or maybe Freddie Swain in the slot again, David Moore, or maybe just some tight end plays like with Olsen, Disley, maybe get Disley a couple more throws out there. Maybe mostly Olsen and Disley if we can get our tight ends going again too, especially in the red zone too. If we can just try to get them wide open on a play action, because play action is where we've really thrived with
Yeah,
tight ends.
we are so good in the red zone. I'm honestly not going to ask for anything different in the red zone, though. Like, this team has been historically good in the red zone to start this season. I don't want us to change anything that we're doing in the red zone because everything we do works really well. So what am I going to complain about? And this team did not used to be like this.
Oh,
Under Daryl Bevel, we were not like this in the red zone at all. But the last 3 years, we have been not only good, but historically good at ending red zone possessions in the end zone. So what we're doing, it works great. I mean, against Dallas, we just kept finding Lockett for short touchdowns. It worked great.
yep.
From week to week, I trust this team to perform in the red zone because they keep doing it.
And that's what I'm happy about too. And we haven't really had to rely on our kicker. I mean, I would have loved to have just, not really taken too much of a chance last week in Miami with going for it on 4th and 3 and just taking the points with Myers since we were in a good chip shot range, considering he made a 54-yarders. Like, if we need to use Myers, I feel like there would be some smart times that we should just use them and not take any chances of, like not converting the 4th down early and just taking early points because those points still help us big time too. So I don't want to make a little blunder like that again, like we did last week.
I completely disagree with that. I think going for it there is absolutely the correct move. Although I will say Brandon Shell was not in the game on that play. So in that situation, maybe you do want to kick it just because Cedric O is not
Abui, Cedric Abui.
Ogbui. Yeah, Ogbui. He's not it, and he got completely abused on that play, which is why that play ended in failure, of course.
Damn.
But fundamentally, I think it's a great idea to keep our offense on the field as much as possible. We have maybe the best quarterback in the league right now. We might have the best offense in the league right now. The more they're on the field, the better. But in that case, you may be correct. I will say that. In
Yeah.
that very specific case, you will say that. But yeah, this offense, there's so little to complain about with this offense right now. I think we could run the ball a little less on third down. I think we could run the ball a little less on second and long. But the offense is working really well.
Yeah, we haven't had a number one offense since the 2005 year. That was the last time a Seahawks offense was ever ranked number one in the NFL. If we can get back to that number again and be ranked number one throughout the season would be huge. But other than that, did we basically get everything we need to get out?
Yeah, that's really all I got for this game. I'm not overly worried about it. I feel good about this one. I like this matchup for the Seahawks. I don't see how they stop us from scoring enough to win this game. I really don't. Even if we don't force turnovers, I feel good about this game. And if we do, the route could be on.
All right. How many touchdowns would you say about for our Seahawks offense? 5,
Oh, uh,
6?
I'm going to say I feel pretty good about 5. It could easily be 6. I just like this matchup. I just like this matchup. Like I said, I'll say it again. The Vikings defense is a lot like the Cowboys defense to me. They can rush the passer a little bit, but they got nothing else. And you saw what we did to the Cowboys offense
Right.
without even playing a perfect game.
Exactly. All right, guys. Me and Brendan about to sign out here. Give us your thoughts down below and bring on Minnesota. Let's try and go get this win. If you ain't with it, you ain't infamous. And as always, go Seahawks.